Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So we're continuing on with the KYOSHO Optima Mid 60th anniversary car, and we got to 37 last time, so we're on part 38, and I'm going to try and get this through to sort of mechanically finished, if you like, all the chassis and everything, and it'll just leave the body shell for painting because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that. So let's bring in for a close-up look and see how we get on with this one. So next thing we're going to do is get these two side pods. We've just got the foam that we need to drop into these and stick in place. I believe these are for holding the battery, because it looks like it's set up for shorty packs. Although I know there are other battery attachments that you can buy. So we've got them in place. Let's see what else we need. So moving on, it's asking us to fit our ESC. So we are going with a KYOSHO ESC, one of the Le Mans ones. And we've also got these little sort of cable management parts. So we need to get a few of them in place first. It should be less of a pain to sort of line things up. And these just slip over the cable and slide down. Just make sure you've got them both on the same way. And then we got two little scrolls in the bottom of the Le Mans ESC. So hopefully this fits, because it's a KYOSHO part going on a KYOSHO car. So once we get that upside down, we got two little screws. So that should be one really solidly fitted ESC. And then if we flip it back over, certainly not a lot of room in this RC if you're not using the KYOSHO parts. So for this, you've got little cutouts on the battery tray, so you can get your two little clips sort of lined up in there. Then we've got to lower all this into position without getting any other wires caught under it. So it's asking us to go for the two furthest forward holes. So once we've got one in, should then be able to get us other in place. Doesn't look the most secure way of fixing in a shorty pack or any battery really, because I'm not seeing what stops them just flying out at ends so far. But once we got one of those in, we can then get us other one. And I suppose this really depends on where your battery lines up, whether you use the front or rear holes. We can get one started, and we should be able to get our second one in. So once we got all them fastened up, we can flip it back over. It kind of should be what you're looking at. We've got a scraggly mess of battery wires and a servo wire, and then we've got our cables coming down, and these should run out the way of where his battery is going to sit, and then straight under the two cable fasteners and off to our motor, which is going to be fun, because we've then got to try and solder these three to the actual motor. But let's move on. It's not told us to fasten our sensor cable in yet, which not really sure what's the best way of taking that, whether it's going to be better up over the top and then sort of back down through here to the motor maybe. Keep it quite tidy and out of the way, but we shall see. So let's see what else we've got. So moving along, we have our receiver, which is going to be a FlySky FGR4B. Using this one because one, it's one of the enhanced ones, and two, it's got a little antenna, which this car's got an antenna mount, and it's an old style car. Then we've got to mount the switch for the ESC, which, looking at it, I'm not really sure where the best place to mount it. I think I'm going to mount it on the opposite side So it doesn't look like too bad of a place. So yeah, let's get some double-sided tape on it and get these stuck in. Right, so we've got a receiver stuck down, we've got a switch stuck down. Next, we're going to have to put the antenna wire through. So if we get that fed through, and I've got some antenna tubing, but it looks like KYOSHO didn't give me any with the actual kit, or I've lost it, but I can't find any. So if we have a quick look at where his cable's going to go and then pull the cable out, you can get a good idea of what length you want your actual wire. And I like to have mine so it just pokes out at the top. That way you know your cable's in properly. And then we just need to get a tiny little grub screw, and you just screw this in the hole at the end of the antenna tube, and that locks your antenna tube into place and stops it flying out for you. So that's where we're at so far. Got this nice little receiver, does fit really well on this tray. A switch just about fits. So let's move on, see what else we've got. So the next part of our assembly is going to be the wing, but for me, I want to get these wires soldered in. So I'm going to drop this rear shock off just so I've got plenty of room, and I don't want the wing mount and everything in my way, and I'm just going to solder these on. So make sure you go A, B and C to A, B and C, because it is a censored motor if you're running this setup. The only other thing, we've got the sensor cable, so I need to find somewhere neat to put this, and I don't want it so it's going to be sort of rubbing on the battery or anything. Funnily enough, the instructions don't give you any guidance on where to put this, so I've just got to find somewhere for it to live so it looks nice and tidy. But I'll get the motor wires soldered on first, and then I'll find a nice way of routing the actual sensor cable. So we'll crack on with that, and I'm back in a sec. Right, so we've got our ESC fastened down, all his cables nicely done. I've brought the servo cable up through this hole in the chassis. We've got our motor wires all soldered on. I've brought the wire for the sensor up around the top and down to the motor, so we've got plenty of play in these cables and the sensor one if we need to change the timing or move the motor to put a bigger or smaller pinion on. We've got his cables tied up nicely there. Anybody wanting to use a shorty pack in here, it won't fit. So your standard height shorty packs, if I find one. So a standard height race pack will not fit in any way. The low profile ones should fit easily. But you can fit any of the normal Tamiya style ones in, although I'm not sure if these are going to be wide enough for the body shell, so it may be a bit awkward to get batteries to fit this. There's not a lot you can do about the height because you've got the belt cover at the bottom and the cables, so there's not a lot we can do to get any more height. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But that's where we're at the moment. I did take the shock off to get to the wires to solder them on, but they've all soldered on nice and neatly, and it's looking a bit more like a car. So let's crack on, see what else we've got to do on this car. The only thing I won't be doing is painting the body shell. So I think we've just got the rear wing and the wheels to get sorted. Right, so we're going to be building the rear wing assembly up. So we're going to need 2 of these long screws and 1 of the rear stays. So we should be able to get them in from that side. Then we need to get the opposite side to line up. Right, so once we've got these screws in, you can just nip them up. And they screw straight into this side of it. So then we've got this bit that sits in top, and for this one looks like we have two tapered head screws that go in from the sort of car side, if you like, or the front. So we've got a tapered head screw or countersunk screw from either side. Then you're going to want to take one of the domed head screws, and this is how you adjust the height of the wing. You've got 3 different positions that you can fasten this up in. So we just need to screw these in. So once we've got all 4 of these screwed down, the last thing you've got is 2 little locking nuts, and these just go into the bottom, and you've got 2 different positions, forward and back. But I'm guessing we just need to pop them in when we screw the wing down to it. But it doesn't actually tell you in the instructions. So let's just flick it upside down. It looks like they would be easy enough to get in. So they do just poke into place. So you can get one in and then drop the other one in. So you can just poke them down. And they do hold in there pretty good. So I don't think they'll be coming loose and just dropping out on you. So let's move on to assembling our wheels. So we have those lovely wheels in 1980s bathroom green. But if you look at your wheels, we've got the foam inserts. So we just need to squeeze them inside his wheel. I'm really not sure what they were thinking with this colour. I'm pretty sure the original cars from 80s had nothing on them that were this colour. I've not seen any of the pictures that shown any of the racing colours as 80s bathroom green, but I'm sure they had the reasons for it. So to get these on, you just got to stretch them over the rims. Just make sure you don't rip your foams as you're doing it. It's not too fiddly a job. And this time, at the moment, I'm not going to glue these tyres to these rims because I don't really like the colour of these rims at all. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to paint any of the body anything like this colour. And if I don't paint it anything like this colour, then there's not really any point me putting the council bathroom green wheels on. But that's the way they're going to go together. Make sure your writing's on the outside because the other side is completely blank. Or if you don't want the writing on it, put it on so they're blank. I think they're pretty much same tread pattern either way around. So I'll get the rest of these built up and move on. So we've got all the tyres on the wheels with the foams in. Let's, as I say, I'm not gluing these on because I'm not really sold on these. I love the style up wheel, I just don't like the colour. So let's see what else we've got. So moving along, we've got his wheels to fit on his little RC. So we do get some really nice black wheel nuts with this. So although I don't like the greeny colour, I do like the wheel nuts. And they are the serrated type, so they will bite into the wheel as you tighten it up. You do stand a good chance of the little wheel nut not coming off and flying down road. They are very, very soft tyres as well. They're extremely soft rubber. So I certainly don't think they'd last very long if you were putting a really hot motor in this. But I'm only going to be running a 15.5 turn in it. I'm not going to be expecting it to do any serious racing. If I do nip out anywhere racing with it, it's only going to be to like a vintage meet or something like that. Something more enjoyable than serious, more sort of enjoyment than serious racing event. Right, so next all we need to do is check how our steering and everything's set up. So we've got a battery, and I think we've got a few battery straps. Let's have a look what it involves getting these on. Well, first impressions of these are, my God, these are useless. I'm not overly impressed with these straps at all. They're fiddly, annoying to put on, and it doesn't feel at all like it's going to hold the battery in. Well, it's kind of in there, but you can move it, and I think you could easily pull it straight out. You don't seem to have anywhere to put the balance cable or as excess wires, but it is what it is. It's a vintage style buggy. So we've got our radio gear powered up. We'll power up the RC. So we're definitely going to need to reverse our steering. Looks like his endpoints aren't too far off though with that servo. To the point where I'm pretty sure you'd get away with it. Quickly have a look, see what a sub trim's like. It looks pretty close. And forward goes forward. And the rear drive shaft has popped out straight away. So one thing that I've quickly noticed is this little insert that I put in this side on the diff should, by the looks of it, go in the opposite side. So it needs to be with the sort of flats closest to the diff, but I'm guessing this is to hold the drive shaft slightly further out. And if we pop that in that way round, hopefully it should hold this drive shaft out a little bit further, which may explain why this drive shaft popped out and the other side seemed a little bit too tight. I'm hoping that corrects the issue. Now, definitely something that I've got wrong following instructions, but they are not the easiest of the instructions to follow. But luckily, if this does fix our drive shaft dropping out issue, then it's a pretty easy fix. I'm guessing, seeing as I built both diffs the same, if I've got it wrong on the rear diff, I've probably got it on the wrong side on the front one as well. But let's see. It still looks pretty close to the rear cup, but not as close. But doesn't look like this side can fall out now. So I'm going to quickly check on the front. To drop the front ones, probably just as easy to drop these, and then we should be able to just pop the front drive shafts out. Should be able to get these off quite easy. I've not had any problem with the front drive shafts, just that rear one dropping out, but this would explain why. Again, definitely my fault, but not the easiest thing to follow on the instructions. But yeah, it does look like we can get to it to switch it back to the side it should be. So we're just going to drop that out. Then if we drop this side out, we can just pop this into the output cup. And we should be able to get his drive shaft to go back in. Definitely a learning curve building one of these KYOSHOs. And as I say, it is the first one I've built. And if that's the only mistake I've made, putting this one together, I'll be quite happy. So I just need to get the little insert to drop back down flat. So if we just put a little X driver across it, should let it drop in. Yep, that's gone. Then we can put the screw back down. So suspension works, our front drive shafts aren't trying to fall out. Doesn't look like as rear can fall out now, so let's power this up. So we've got steering. We've got drive, we've got brake, and we've got reverse. Does sound really smooth. We've not got any drive shaft popping out, so that's good. These servos definitely suit this car. Even without adjusting the end points, they just about hit in the stock when I get to end of the steering travel. And I've only had to move the sub trim to right 36 on this controller. I have done a video on how you calibrate your CSC and how you set it all up. But yeah, I think we're going to call it a day there. We've got as two little buttons for his wing left. We've got two body clips and two screws. And then the rest of the stuff that we've actually got left is, I believe these are to shim the wing. So we've got these two bits. And then we've got a bunch of plastic parts. Some are used on different models, like all these we've got in aluminium on this one. We've got the servo savers, a couple of little plastic bits, few of the damper options, and these couple of little tapered things. But other than that, we are pretty much done apart from the body shell. So yeah, let's wrap this one up. So there we have it. It's functionally finished apart from the wing and the body shell. So one KYOSHO 60th anniversary mid. The instructions, certainly not the easiest to follow, which is why I've done this vid. As you see, even somebody that's built quite a few like me, I've never built a KYOSHO diff, and I just got those little plastic inserts that slide in the output cups on the wrong side, and that caused me the issue of trying to get these the right length. Because this side were tight, this side were that loose, the drive shaft fell out as soon as I pulled trigger. Putting these shim in the proper side has fixed that. So yeah, quite impressed with that. The suspension feels nice. The steering feels absolutely brilliant. I'm quite surprised at how smooth it sounds. So yeah, really nice and smooth. Steering seems absolutely brilliant. Suspension brilliant. Quite nice build quality overall. Battery choice is going to be a weird one. I wouldn't advise running a high-powered motor in this, so you're going to get away with the Tamiya stick-style batteries. I've used these Z-Packs and the Gens Ace in many of the racing Tamiyas that I've got, and to be honest, I've never had a problem with them. Never have an issue finishing a race. There's a few sort of quality bits, like the way the shocks fasten on. Not really impressed with that. The battery weight fastens in. Not a big fan of that either. Other than that, mainly like the fact that it's got a fully adjustable servo saver. I like the fact that all the tie rods are adjustable, so you can tune the car to your kind of driving. Kind of find it weird that it looks like, so it's got the bits for the stabilizers, but then they didn't bother giving you the stabilizer kit with it. Not really sure why. Not sure why they tell you to fit them if they're not giving you the stabilizers with it. Do like the gold sort of stanchions on the forks. That's quite nice on the shocks. Kind of think that should have had like a little rubber bung so you could adjust it without taking it off, because to take that off you got to take the shock off. Bit of a weird design choice. I'm not a big fan of the 80s bathroom blue for the body and the wheels. Not really a big fan of that. Quite like the aluminium parts that they've given us with it. So we've got the brace on the motor, the top brace of the motor, the little standoffs. The fact that it comes with the carbon chassis, really nice. But yeah, quite an enjoyable build. Instructions, certainly not the worst out there. The Camtech definitely takes that crown, but not at all on par with Tamiya's or X-Ray or Hot Bodies or HB Racing, if you like. I've built many other RCs, and I can certainly see how people can struggle with this, where there's not a list of parts that you're actually using on that section. It just kind of shows you a picture and goes, work out what's missing on yours, and this is what you need to put on. But yeah, it's not completely undoable. And the drive shaft sort of falling out thing, that's just down to me misunderstanding the way it would tell me to put the diffs together. But a very quick and easy fix. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, this. I would like to take it round a track just to see how it drives. Not sure if the wheel offset and everything's going to work with a modern buggy wheel. So I do have quite a few race wheels. I can try them, see what we can do with it. And yet to make my mind up on a colour. But there you have it. It's functionally built and assembled, and should be quite a nice little RC. But thanks again for watching WTF Rc Cars. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.